So today I want to do a review specifically aiming towards the smaller keto companies, the startups, things of that nature. Three places that have just knocked my socks off are Trish's Keto Cravings, Whisk Keto Cookie Mixes, and Chipmunk Baking. Now, Chipmunk Baking is the bigger out of the three, and they all specialize in cookies, oddly. Now, Trish has brownies, and Chipmunk just released some red velvet brownie bites, which are nut free because they're made from sunflower seed flour. And out of the three, I will say I actually have a discount code with Chipmunk Baking where you can actually have 10% off each order. Now, you get a welcome 10%, but with Sugarless Crystals, as a code, you continue to get 10% whenever you actually make a purchase. I want to start with Whisk. I have a hard time saying that. Whisk Keto Cookie Mixes. I want to start with them because she sent me two. I wasn't quite sure, what to expect. And out of the flavors she had, I didn't want something simple. So, I said, send me the espresso and send me the sweet and salty. So I have the results for one because I've made these already. But for the sweet and salty, you're looking at 154 calories per cookie, 3 grams protein, 1.6 grams net carbs, and 15 grams of fat. With their cookie mixes, all you need is butter, egg, and a little vanilla extract. Speaking of the sweet and salty first, I want to say this one was my favorite out of the two that she sent me. Now, the one I had lacked a little saltiness out of the sweet, but I spoke with her and she said she actually upped the salt level. But if you happen to get them, I would just, just in case, depends on if you're a person who really, really loves salty, maybe you can sprinkle a little bit across each cookie. It won't help. It won't hurt, excuse me. Now, with all of them, they're all better fresh, like hands down. But I had these in the refrigerator for a day or two, and they still hold up very tasty. They don't have the warm factor to them, which make them better, but it is what it is. I guess I could pop it in the microwave if I wanted to. Now, she has shredded coconut in it. I think it adds a nice texture complex to it when you bite into the coconut, but I don't think it brings a lot of flavor to it. What really stands out to me are the pecan, the chocolate, and the saltiness that could possibly be there. I asked for the espresso because I felt the espresso, I was interested to see what a coffee cookie would feel like. In all honesty, really what I ended up getting was a really, really good chocolate cookie. Once again, when they're warming out the oven, something like this chocolate espresso is amazing. But for those who don't know, espresso or coffee brings out the richness of the chocolate. So that's probably why it's just as good as it is. Hands down, when it comes to a richness of chocolate flavor, because of the espresso, this is probably the best chocolate cookie I've ever had when it comes to something I can buy. I'll make sure I tag them down below so you can go check them out. She's constantly putting out brand new flavors. Go support someone who's trying to put it together and make quality ingredients, because the bigger keto gets, the more you're going to have those washed out products that just aren't very good for you. Now, if you remember my last review, my big one for 2020, I had Trish's Keto Craving. Now, I only did the brownies because I wanted to save the chocolate chip cookies until now. But what I figured with the brownies, with the texture of the brownies being as good as they were, I just knew the cookies had to be mind-blowing. And you know what? I was very, very correct. The texture of these cookies is so good. The texture reminds me almost of Chipmunk Baking, to be honest. This is the actual mix, and Chipmunk does have mixes as well, but she does specifically mixes. She doesn't send you any actually made products. But one cookie is 110 calories, 9 grams of fat, 2 gram net carbs, and 3 grams of protein. The same with hers. All you needed was butter, egg, and vanilla extract. What I love about these is the texture. Like, the texture is so good. And of course, the texture is better after they've cooled and everything like that. But what I noticed is the texture held up a little better than most. The texture continued to be soft. They did get a little crunch to them, which isn't bad, I guess you could say. But the softness of the texture just, these, to me, if I had to choose between these and the brownies, it's these all day long. This is really, really good. So for you guys out there that have nut allergies, Chipmunk Baking just released a red velvet brownie bite, and it's made with sunflower seed flour. Now I've had several people request me to make things that are nut free, but see, the thing is, coconut flour isn't the best thing, but almond flour and sunflower seed flour is supposed to be very similar. And of course, almond flour is always the base, even though I use a little coconut flour in everything I make. Anyway, enough about me. These things are quite amazing, like mind-blowingly good. And you've heard me talk about Chipmunk Baking before, but they have given me my own discount code, which is Sugarless Crystals, and you get 10% off. Now, I don't gain anything from this. I just think they're a great company, and I think you guys should go out there and try it. So anything I can do to help, I'm definitely going to do it. What you're looking at is allulose, the sweetener, of course. And for one cookie, well, excuse me, one brownie bite, you have 1 net carbs, 7 grams of fat, and 2 grams of protein. They have dark chocolate chips and white chocolate chips. Like, the texture is a bit more chewier than their traditional cookie, which is great because it separates the, talking with my mouth full, which is great because it separates the cookie from the brownie bite. And I think that's important in your product line, to have that separation. I mean, these are by far, just because I'm biased on red velvet, I mean, these are some of my favorite. But the fact that I do like sunflower seed flour and coconut flour over almond flour. Yes, I use it, yes, I eat it, but I have my reasons why I don't really prefer to eat it often. $11.99 for a whole bag, and you get, I think it's well worth it. And I've been purchasing from there, like this is my 3rd order so far, and I got a 4th one coming up because I'm going to KetoCon and I need some snacks for the plane. Now, some people have, the people that have had Chipmunk Baking or get the high key snacks and things like that, they recognize that the flavor is very, very good. Now, and some people have asked me, can you replicate that berries? Can you make a recipe like that? And the truth is, yes and no. So, I can replicate the flavor very easily, but the texture is, you'll be surprised how essential the texture is when it comes to the enjoyment of the overall food. See, when you're working on a small scale and when you're at home, you want to try to use as little ingredients as possible. You want to use the very best of the very best. And you want to get straight to the point. But see, when you're working in a factory, or you're making huge batches of cookies like these cookie companies do, it's easier to buy certain ingredients and use them in smaller amounts that make a big difference when it comes to texture and when you're making it. For instance, these brownie bites, the texture is amazing with this sunflower seed flour. And those that have had and for those that have had Good Deeds baking mixes, you'll know exactly what kind of flavor you tend to get, but these are far better, of course. And they're much sweeter for somebody that's beginning the keto diet. So besides sunflower seed flour, a couple of binding ingredients and things that give it that chewy texture and that soft cookie texture are things such as, so you have konjac powder, psyllium husk, plant fibers. So if you were to buy these things separately in one recipe, that recipe will be super expensive. It'll be far better for you to buy something like this. But it's, for a company, when you buy these ingredients in bulk, and then you lose a little bit here and there, like it goes much, much further. And you can use beef gelatin to make things chewy. You can use konjac powder to make things chewy. It'll get you there, but it won't be the same. Because as I said, even just to use, a teaspoon of beef gelatin powder, you can't go out and buy that. You have to buy the entire package. So making some of these things at home, if you bake often and you bake for a lot of people, then it's very possible to do. But some things have to be dumbed down a little bit if you want to make recipes yourself. But if any of you guys have had any of these, hit me in the comment section below. Let me know what you think. If you tried different flavors than what I tried, let me know what you think as well. I'm very, very curious about what you have to say. That is all. Till next time.